So a lot of people around the way, people I know, a lot of people are staying single. A lot of people are living alone. A lot of people are they're not buying a house. They're not getting married. They don't have children. A lot of young people I know are staying single. They're on their own. When they graduate, they just go get their career, and they just work in their career. They have their hobbies, their fun. Some are still out, 2 or 3 nights a week, and they're living their life. Do you have a girlfriend? No, I don't have a girlfriend. Do you have a boyfriend? No, I don't have a boyfriend. What I see, especially, when I am in the major area of town and I'm walking by the outdoor restaurants, I'll see a lot of women in groups and they're together and they're talking. Lots of women, and this is what I've noticed, a lot of women in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and I'll look around and I don't see a ring on their finger, and they're all talking, and then they'll turn to look at me as if to say, hey, you, hey, but they don't. They dare not do what they want to do. They dare not risk losing their friends. They dare not risk losing their freedom. They dare not risk losing their independence, their freedom, their desire to be able to go and do the things that they want to do. They dare not risk doing that. They dare not risk the peer pressure that they might receive from their friends. Oh, you're dating? Oh, why are you dating? It's like, no, come hang out with us, stay with us. No, we don't want to lose you. We don't want to lose those Friday nights with you. We want to continue to hang out with you, have sleepovers, have slumber parties. And then the guys, it's like, don't get married, don't date, you know. It's more of a hookup culture. It's more of go out, party. You got a bunch of 28, 30, 34-year-old men. I don't know what it is about the men in the manosphere, but it just seems like from age 25 to age 35, 40, like if a lot of men have not found a woman, they just start going crazy. They start losing it. They start acting weird. They start like just, I don't know. It's like something in their mind just flips off, and they start overindulging in things. They start picking up bad habits, or they start obsessing or compulsing, or they start watching the corn trees grow, if you know what I mean. They start watching naked videos and pictures, and they just get obsessed in staring at the cornfields. And then they just like start overly working out, overly at the gym, overly spending money, or overly like just it's almost like they become a nuisance. And the women, when they're not married, like age 25 to 35, women start that if they're not married, if they don't have children, if they don't have a boyfriend or engaged, they start just like flipping out. Not flipping out, but flipping out. They start racking up huge credit card debt. They start racking up debt, like just unnecessary debt. They go and they buy these, get these cars, or maybe they'll buy a house or a condo, but they don't have I don't know. It's hard to explain. They don't have they lose the self-discipline that they had when they were in college. They start gravitating towards things like they start drinking, they start getting 2 or 3 cats, they start getting these expensive hobbies that they cannot afford. And it's like, what are it just seems like it boils down to one thing. There is a love drought. And when people are not loved, they start developing addictions. They start developing mental health crises. They start, substituting, self-medicating to make up for the lack of love that they don't have. And that's the problem. America is experiencing a love drought. People are unloved. You have so many people around you, but yet so lonely. You try to talk to people. Men try to talk to people. You try to, socialize. And it's like the only thing that a man can do, and I can only speak from the man's point, is these men after the age of 25, they're living on their own. If they don't live with their parents anymore, and they don't live with a woman, they either start going gay, they start questioning their gender identity. I've known straight guys that had girlfriends and they were dating. They were like, you would think they were your regular guys, and then all of a sudden they start coming out. Because after so long of being single, they don't have a girlfriend anymore. They get so that they go get and they get a transgender woman for a girlfriend. They go into a gay relationship. They start going to gay bars. They start doing things that they wouldn't usually do. They start picking up transgender women, on the side of the road, if you know what I mean. They get a dog. There's nothing wrong with having a pet, but they get overly attached to their dog. The dog is their everything. The gym, clothing, cologne. They start, the ones that don't go gay, the ones that are trying to find a woman, they start ratcheting up their dress style, their clothing style, spending excess money on expensive clothing, hoping that that's going to find them a girlfriend, find them love. They start visiting these dating sites. They start watching the cornfields grow. They start doing things unbalancedly. And that's the problem in the manosphere, and women, they start exaggerating their outfits. They start getting more catchy, more as they get older, as they get closer to 30. And if they still don't have a boyfriend, or if they're still not married, have no children, they start to go through a mental health phase where they start to panicking almost. By the time they get in their early 30s, they start questioning everything. They'll start going into doing things they wouldn't usually do. Now they start coming out. They get girlfriends now. Sometimes it starts earlier. Women in their early 20s, like I know a 24-year-old woman. I know she's not gay. She took me out the other night. We hung out. She bought me drinks. She bought me dinner. She paid for it. I was like, no, you don't have to do that. I don't expect that. She's like, no, you're a really cool guy. I really like being around you. And, we get to talking, and, and I appreciate the chivalry, and she doesn't want me spending money on her. She would make a great wife, a great girlfriend for a good guy. But we start talking, and she comes out. She says, I have a girlfriend, and her girlfriend calls while we're at the dinner table, and her girlfriend's like, what are you doing? Where are you? Why are you gone so long? What are you doing? Why don't you call? You're not texting me. She's really beautiful. So, her girlfriend's like obsessed with her. And she's like, all these things. It's always like every 5 minutes. It's like, are you coming home? Where are you? Apparently they live together, and she doesn't tell her that she's with me. And it's like, she comes out. She says, I have a girlfriend. I met her girlfriend one time. She doesn't know it's me that she went to dinner with. And, I could see it in her girlfriend's eyes. Like, she's like, I wouldn't normally do this, but I can't find a man. And the woman that took me out, she's like, I wouldn't normally do this, but I couldn't find a good guy, you know, and I can tell by the way she's looking at me that she's attracted to me. But there's a love drought for like, there's so many people around, but there's just not enough. It's like there's not enough love to go around. It's like people don't have time to meet people anymore. People don't have time to hang out. They don't have time. They're having to work two jobs. Before you know it, you're 35 years old. You're single. You know, you have these women. They're panicking. They're alone. They start going through a mental health crisis. The next thing you know, they're seeing therapists. They're on a mild antidepressants. You know, they're drinking regularly. This isn't good. You know, I don't think that social media. I don't think if it was used the right way, it would help. But what do people do? They get addicted to social media. It becomes an addiction. They overly do it, and they're addicted, and they spend too much time. You know, they spend too much time on social media, watching videos instead of going out and meeting people organically. Like that woman, that 24-year-old woman that took me out to dinner the other night. I met her organically. I just happened to meet her while she was at her job. You know, organic, you know, no additives, no preservatives. You know, it wasn't staged. It wasn't scripted. You know, but people would rather meet online. They'd rather do online dating. They'd rather do long distance dating. You know, I mean, I meet plenty of women that seem like they're wonderful women. Like they would make great girlfriends. It's not that men don't want girlfriends. It's not that men don't like women. It's not that men can't stand women. It's just everyone's online, you know. It's not that I can't find it's I could find a girlfriend. It's just I don't have the time to look. It's like I could find a girlfriend, but you know, the women that I've met, they don't have time to date. They don't have time. All their free time is spent at work, having to work a second job. And then self-entertainment, being online, you know, being on social media, watching videos. It's just, there are all these distractions, and all of these distractions that are out there are creating a love drought. And it's really wild, man. It's alarming. It's frightening. I'm going to have to continue this because I could go on and on about this. Thank you for watching.